To all the geeks and nerds out there, welcome back to another episode of Simply Minecraft. Today we are looking at iron farms, and behind me we have one that will produce about 7.5 stacks per hour. That's not too bad, and this one is really simple, hardly any blocks involved at all, and this is going to be really cool. So again, this series is all about making things as simple as possible. So these are not necessarily the most efficient things, but they are pretty simple, and if you're in a single player world or you don't have much time to play, then these kind of designs are things that you can build up pretty quickly. Alright, let's take a look at this thing and see how it works. So here it is. This is the iron farm we're going to be building today, and what I've tried to do here is have a good balance between efficiency, ease of build and also reliability. So we'll come on to this stuff in a bit more detail later on, but let me give a quick tour of this thing so you can see how it works. So we have some villagers standing on beds. That's because one of the criteria for spawning golems is that these villagers can sleep. The other thing is they need to be scared, and then because they're scared and they can also sleep, they will then start spawning golems around about every 30 seconds if they are able to. So in the middle we have this zombie. He's bobbing up and down in some water, and that is because we want him to scare the villagers, but also he needs to break his line of sight briefly so they can sleep at night time, and that allows them to then spawn a golem on some of these solid blocks above here. The water then flushes them into this corner where the lava kills them, and their drops fall into these hoppers and then into this chest for collection. And it's the same on both sides. We have this side over here and this side over here is exactly the same, just on the other side. We can also turn this farm off. We have this lever right here, so if we were to flip this lever, then these two pistons extend, blocking the line of sight from the zombie to the villagers, and now no more iron will be produced. So that can also be useful depending on how you play, and also if you're on a server. So that is also pretty cool. Now, before you start building this thing, you need to make sure you leave the right amount of space around it, and that is to control where iron golems will spawn. If we build this with blocks nearby, then they might spawn on those blocks and not inside your farm, which is where we want them to be. So the general rule, just to keep it straightforward, is to make sure you've got 8 blocks around all of the villagers. So for example, underneath the bed, make sure you count 8 blocks here and make sure that is all free space and there's no blocks there at all. Also from the side, if you come off from the villager, so one would be, so 1 here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 up to here, and also on the other side count out 8, and also on this side over here count out 8 blocks. So make sure there's all that free space around them. That's just to make sure that golems only spawn on these solid blocks and none anywhere else. Now if you want to understand a bit more about how iron farms work and you want all the details about all the measurements and all the criteria and all the ins and outs of it, I've got another video on my channel that goes through all of those in depth, so I won't cover those today. We'll just cover the basics for what we need for this farm. And that video not only goes into all the details, but it also shows you some designs and how to make your iron farm as efficient as possible if that's what you're interested in. So check it out. There'll be a link in the description to it if you're interested. Now let's get on with the block by block tutorial, and here is a list of all the items you need to build this farm. So not too many, as you can see, and if I scroll down, there's just a single lever there at the bottom, but if we scroll up, there we go, that's all of the items you need. And of course this list will also be in the description to help you out as well. The first thing to do is to build the cell for the zombie. So what you need to do now is to place down 2 cobble walls next to each other just like that, then come above and place a temporary block on top, and then we need to build a ring just around this, all the way around, just like this, and then take away the temporary block, so we kind of have that kind of shape around your cobble walls. And then we can also take away these corner blocks. They're not necessary, but now what we can do is we can place a water source on one of these blocks like that, so we've got this kind of flowing water like this. Then we need to create a one wide hole for the zombie, so come up 2 blocks here where the water source is, and then another 2 here, another 2 here, and then place a block on top there and 1 there. So the zombie is going to stand on that cobble wall, but also inside the water source that you placed with your bucket, just there like that. Now is a great time to get the zombie into place. So what I've done here is I've added some temporary blocks to make it nice and easy. So let me talk you through it, and then we'll see if we can catch one. So over here, I've just added a temporary stairway all the way up from ground level, all the way up to here. So the zombie will be able to chase us up to here, and then we are going to run over here. So we need a few extra blocks on this side, and then we're going to cover the hole up with a block that's easily mineable, just right there. Then 1 block over from that over here, we need to add a block. And then add a trapdoor underneath. So this block is actually 2 blocks here. So you see we have 2 block gap. So we can run underneath there, but the zombie can't. It thinks he can walk past there, but it can't. It'll get stopped by the trapdoor. And then as it's standing on this block, we'll be able to mine it away, and he'll drop down into the water source that we placed a little earlier. All right. So let's turn this to nighttime, get into survival, and see how easy this is to do. Okay, it's now night time and I have a zombie and I've given him an item, and this is a zombie that picks an item up, so he's not going to despawn. If you can't find one of those guys, then you have to use a name tag and that will stop them from despawning, because if you don't do that, then of course the zombies will disappear. But now I'm going up these stairs and he's following me up. There we go, just checking every now and again to make sure he's still there. So if I just run up here, he should follow me all the way up. Now I'm going to go past the trapdoor, which is just there, and he should just stand there and stop. There we go. So no need to panic, nice and easy. And now we can just break this block underneath him and he falls in. And that's it, he's captured. Very easy indeed. The next step is to add a solid block above the zombie, and you need to do this before the sun rises because otherwise they will burn. So put a block next to this block and then one below, and then you can remove this block. So that's going to shield him from the sun, and then put a lever just on top of that block like that. And then all of this temporary stuff we did, we can get rid of all of that, ready for the next step. This lever here is going to be our on and off switch. So to complete this, let's put a glass block either side of this solid block just like that. Then have a temporary block here and then here as well. Take out the middle one, get a sticky piston and place it on that temporary block just like that. Then you can remove that. Same on the other side. So a temporary block here and here, remove the middle one. Get a sticky piston, place it there and then remove it. And now we just need to make sure that this is not spawnable for the iron golems. They will spawn on these if you just leave them like this. So I think putting buttons on there is an easy way to do it. And now if you flip the lever, there's the pistons extend and they will block the line of sight to the zombie. Now, if you don't have any slime balls and it's a bit hard to get the sticky pistons, if you want to turn this farm off, you can just manually place a block here and a block here, and that will do the same job. The next few steps are going to be the same for the right and the left hand side. So I'll show you one side, but make sure you do all of these steps for both sides equally. So what you need to do now is if you open up your pistons, if you retract them so they're like this. Now on this top glass block right here, you need to come out 5 blocks. So take a temporary block and come out 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then get a bed and place it on this last block just like that. So we should have 4 blocks here, 1, 2, 3, 4 until we hit the glass. Now we need to come over 2 from here, so 1, 2 and place a bed on that block, and then 2 on this side, 1, 2 and place a bed there. Now all of this temporary stuff we can get rid of, that's no longer needed, and then of course do that on the other side as well. Now that the beds are in place, make sure that they're all in the right positions. So we have the pillows away from the zombie just like that, and the same on this side over here. And of course, make sure that your pistons are on the same side as the beds, just like that. So when we extend these, the line of sight to the zombie will be broken, so he can't see the beds at all. So the next thing to do is to build the spawning platforms. So come to one of the beds that are on the end, either this one here or this one over here, and then on the corner, place down a temporary block just like that, and this is here next to where the zombie is on this corner. Now on top of that temporary block, put 2 more temporary blocks, so we've got 3 in total, and the bottom one is next to the beds like that. Then get a solid block and place it on top of that temporary block, and then remove these 3 blocks just like that. Now we need to build a 5 by 4 area here with solid blocks. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then fill all of this in just like this. Once that is all filled in, then take some glass blocks and place 4 on this side. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the side away from the zombie. So on this side over here, and then on this side, place down 3. So 1, 2, 3, and that should leave these 3 blocks here empty. Then you can place a temporary block just here, and then get a chest and place it here and also here just like that, and then you can remove the temporary block. Then get yourself a hopper and place it pointing into the chest. You can place another one into the chest like that, and then place another hopper here pointing into that hopper. So any items that fall into these 3 hoppers will then make their way into this chest. Then you can get some more blocks. Glass is good because we don't want zombies, we don't want iron columns, spawning on these. So place a 2 high wall all the way around this thing, just like this. Your spawning platform should now look something like this. So there we go, that's how it should look. Now we've got these corner blocks here. You can remove these if you want to. If you want to save a few resources, those ones are no longer necessary. Just use those to build up the walls. Now on the opposite corner to where the hoppers are, so the hoppers are here, on the opposite corner, take a water source and place 1 water source on that block like that, and that will flow all the way there and cover all the blocks except for the hoppers. That's to make sure that it will push the golems over into that corner, and also when the golem dies, if any of their items land on blocks over here, the water will flush their items into these hoppers over here. Then what we need to do is take 2 more glass blocks and place 2 here on this side and then 2 here on this side. Then get yourself a sign and place it underneath on this block right here, just above there, and then another one here, and also one here, just like that. So now we can now place our lava just like that, and that completes our spawning platform. So when the golem spawns on the solid blocks, it will then get pushed over here. Its head will then go into the lava, and then it will die, and its items will fall into these hoppers just below over there. We of course then need to do the same on the other side, so come over to the bed on the side and place a temporary block diagonally over from the bed, just like that, and then place 2 more above that, and then place a solid block on top of that and get rid of your temporary blocks. Then make this a 4x5 area, so 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4 5, and then fill all of this in just like this. Nice and easy. And then take a glass block, or some glass blocks should I say, and place 3 on this side, so 1 2 3, and place 4 on this side, 1 2 3 4. Then get yourself a temporary block, place it here, then get yourself a chest, which I don't have on me, but I'll grab one just like this. Grab a chest and then place it here and then here next to it. Then grab yourself a hopper, which I also don't have because I'm not prepared. So grab a hopper as well, and then place the hoppers pointed into the chest here, and then a hopper pointed into that chest, just like that. And then we get ourselves some more glass blocks, and then place a 2-high wall all the way around this stuff, just like this, to make sure the golems can't escape. Then grab a water source and place it diagonally opposite from the hoppers, just like that, and the water should flow and just come up to where the hoppers are. Then grab yourself two glass blocks, place 2 here and 2 here. Then grab some signs, and you want to place a sign on the corner here, one above there. So place a sign there, diagonally above it there, and also diagonally above it, but on this side over here. And then we should be able to get our lava bucket, place it there, and that should hold the lava in place. And that is that side done as well. Of course, this double chest will not hold much iron before it fills up, but what you can do is you can extend this by adding some more chests. So to do that, add a chest here, and then one here and one here. Then grab yourself a hopper, and then you can run into this chest just like that, and then this chest over here like that. So any items that go into this chest will then go into this hopper, which will then flow into this chest, which will flow into this hopper, and then into this chest here. So you can add a whole bunch of this here if you like. That will keep you going. But then you might want to have some more complicated stuff a bit later on, which we'll cover a bit later on in the series, like shulker box loaders, or maybe even spitting these items out into a water stream and sending them off into your storage system. But that is something to come in a future episode. And the last thing to do is to get the villagers into place. Now, there are a couple of ways to do that. One way is one that we did when we built up our villager breeder over here. We did that a few episodes ago. And that is to, obviously, we have the beds here already. So what you can do now is you can build a temporary walkway from the beds all the way down to ground level. Have some villagers hanging around at the bottom. And then when it becomes nighttime, they will detect these beds and they will walk up the stairs, and they will get into bed, and as they're in bed, remove the platform so they can't escape, and they are standing on these beds when they wake up. I'd also recommend when you do that, make sure that you hide the line of sight to the zombie so they don't get scared and start running away. So definitely extend the pistons so they can't see anything, but maybe also place down some temporary blocks on either side here so they don't see the zombie as they're walking up the walkway. The other way to do it is what I'm going to try over here, and that is to use some rails and some minecarts out of our villager breeder, because that's how we get villagers out anyway. So I thought this would be useful to show. So over here we've got our villagers, and when we press this button, a minecart will come up and pick them up. We did that in our tutorial about the villager breeder. And so now I've just extended this line with some powered rails every 7th block. So there's 6 unpowered blocks in between each one, and I just run this all the way around here, and then it goes up this slope just like this, and then over to here. Now the interesting part is that next to each of the beds, I've placed a block here so the villagers can be ejected onto this block here, or this one right here, or this one right here. Next to that, we've got an activator rail, and they need to be powered as well. Don't forget that. And don't forget also that when the minecart comes up and then goes along, they will be ejected to the right. So make sure the rail's on the right side, so when they get ejected, they'll go onto this block here. And to stop them running off and falling down, because they can do that, make sure we just add some other temporary blocks around here. So when the villager is standing here, he can't walk off anywhere. Just got these blocks around it. So he's all locked in place. And then once they've got into bed and they've discovered their beds, we can then remove these blocks. These are just temporary, and then we should be good to go. So let's give this thing a try, see if it actually works. So let's come down to the breeder, we press this button, and it should dispense a minecart, pick up a villager, and he will be sent on his way along our roller coaster. He'll go up this up here, and then he'll get ejected, and there he is. He's standing right there ready to go, and you can see there's green particles. That means he's discovered his bed, he's ready to sleep. So let's get rid of that minecart, and then let's pick up 2 more. Now, before we get the next guy, make sure we deactivate this this activator rail like this. Otherwise, the second villager will also be ejected onto the same block right here. So make sure that is not powered. Now, if we go down to back down to the villagers, if we press the button, another minecart should come out, pick him up, and he'll send him on his way just like the first guy. And hopefully, he should be ejected into the second slot. Let's see if that works. There he goes. He's onto the second one. So get rid of that. We'll depower that one just like that. Oh, they're already getting into their beds. That's a good sign. So we've depowered that activator rail. Now let's get the last guy before it gets too dark. And here he comes, and he should get ejected into the last slot. There we go. And now he is in place now in a few seconds. There he goes. He's hopped into bed. And now we can remove all of these blocks here just to make sure they can't escape. There we go. They are now locked into place. Now we can remove all of our rails and we are good to go. Now, of course, do the same thing on the other side and the iron farm will be complete. And the final job is to turn this thing on. So don't forget that the iron golems will not spawn until your villagers have slept. So make sure all of your villagers have slept first, and then they need to be scared. So to do that, we can flip our lever, which will release the pistons, and then in a short few moments we'll get some golems spawning. There we go. We've got 2 spawning there at the same time. They'll get killed, and their items will drop into the chests. Now sometimes you'll get 2 golems spawning simultaneously, like we did here. Sometimes you'll get just one side. Sometimes there'll be a delay between the two. But overall, on average, you'll get about 7.5 stacks of iron per hour. And of course you'll also get the poppies as well. That's an added bonus which you can use for dye, or of course you can put those into a composter and get some bone meal out of those as well. So there we go. That is how you make a simple iron farm in 1.16. So there we have it, a very simple and easy to build iron farm for 1.16.2 Java edition, of course, like everything on the channel. And so I hope you enjoyed the episode, and if you did, then please hit the like button, and if you're new, then feel free to subscribe, and if you've got any comments or suggestions, then get in that comment section. Alright my geeks, until next time, I will see you later.